A long time ago, a man named H lived in a quaint little town by the sea in Scotland. He and his lovely wife Katrina lived happily in a cozy little white house. H was a hard-working fisherman, and he went out to sea every day in his boat. He usually caught a lot of fish, which he then sold at the fish market. One day Hamish was out at sea. It was late in the afternoon, and it was time to go home. He started pulling his net out of the water. The water is so heavy today, he thought happily. Lots of fish. When he pulled the net onto his boat, he saw a wooden box. He was very surprised. He opened the wooden box and found a little baby boy inside. "Oh, a baby boy," he cried. "This is wonderful. We don't have any children, and Katrina will be very happy. She loves babies." He went back home and showed Katrina the baby boy. "Oh my goodness," she said. "What good luck. What a good-looking baby. We must keep him. This child, let's look after him. I think we should call him Callum." Hamish smiled. "I like the name Callum. He's our son now. We'll look after him and give him all our love and teach him to fish." Callum grew up and was a kind, friendly boy. He loved H and Katrina, and they loved him a lot too. H taught him to fish, and he learned quickly. They went out in the boat together every day, but not on Sundays. On Sundays, Hamish Callum was a great help in the garden, and he loved going to the port to watch the sailing ships. When he was 17, a magnificent sailing ship arrived in the port of the town. It was a beautiful ship with white sails and golden masts. A tall, good-looking man stood on the deck. He had dark hair and dark eyes, and he was wearing a stunning black suit. He had balls with spikes in his hands, and was juggling them very fast. Callum was amazed and watched him with great interest. When the juggler got off the ship, he continued juggling the balls in the air. Callum was so excited to meet him, and asked him if he liked juggling. The juggler replied with a big smile, "Oh yes, Callum, it's wonderful. Do you want to become a juggler too?" Callum was delighted and said, "Yes, I do. I want to learn how to juggle those balls." Callum watched the juggler with great interest, even though he got hurt on the spikes. The juggler got off the ship and continued juggling the balls in the air. "Do you like juggling?" Callum asked the juggler. "Callum," the juggler said, "I know your name." "Oh yes," Callum replied. "It's wonderful. Do you want to become a juggler too?" "Yes, I do," Callum said, smiling at the juggler. "I want to learn how to juggle those balls." "It must be," the juggler said. "It's a bit tricky, but you've got this. I admire your determination. Let me take you to your folks. I'd love to chat with them." Callum led the juggler to his cozy little house by the sea. "Dad, Mom, this guy wants to have a word with you." A fairy child, a magical child, thought. "Give me your son for a year and a day," said the clever wizard, "and I will teach him how to juggle. Then when he comes back home, he can be a juggler. Jugglers make more money than fishermen." Hamish and Katrina looked at each other. They did not know what to do. "We must do what is best for our son," said Katrina, looking at Callum. "Do you want to be a juggler, a good juggler?" she asked. "Yes," said Callum. "Yes, Father," Callum replied. "Thank you, Father." "You may go away for a year and a day," H said kindly. "When you return, you will be a good juggler." "That's right, sir," Callum said, looking at the juggler's dark eyes. "Your son will become a great juggler, and he'll make a lot of money," H said with a warm smile. "I'll teach him many things." Callum said goodbye to his parents and left his home with the juggler. Let Callum sail everywhere on the beautiful sailing ship for a year and a day. Callum saw so many new and interesting places and learned all about juggling. After a year and a day, the juggler brought Callum back to his home in Scotland. Callum was now an excellent juggler. He could juggle 7 spiked balls and never hurt his hands with the spikes. H and Katrina were so happy when Callum arrived. "Thank you, juggler," the man said with a smile. Now that your son is a good juggler, if he stays with me for another year and a day, he will become the best juggler in the world." "Oh, that would be wonderful," H replied, beaming. "Callum can go with you again." Callum left for another year and a day, but at the end of that time, he did not return to his home. H and Katrina were worried. They went to the port to look for the beautiful sailing ship, but it was not there. "Oh no," they cried. "Where could Callum be?" Many people knew about Callum and the juggler, but no one knew anything about Callum's family. Katrina said, "H, I must go and find Callum. Please be careful." H said, "My dear wife, please bring Callum home quickly." H kissed his wife on the cheek and set off to find his son. He walked through the forests, up the hills and mountains, and crossed many rivers, but he did not find Callum. One night, Amish was very tired and hungry. He saw a little old house in the forest. There was a light in the window. "Perhaps the person in this house could help me," thought H. "Hello," said H. "Is anyone home?" A very old kind wizard opened the door. He had bright blue eyes and a kind smile. "Welcome to my home," said the friendly old man. "Please come in." "You must be very tired," said the old man. "Please sit down and rest." H sat down near the fire. The old man gave him some hot tea, bread and butter. He ate the bread and butter. After eating, he felt much better, and told the old man about his long journey. The old man listened carefully and then said, "I'm so sorry to hear about your sons. They're in the hands of the evil king of the wizards. Everyone here knows about the wizard and his terrible magic, but don't worry. I'll help you. You must rest now, and we'll talk about it tomorrow morning." After giving H some breakfast, the old man said, "Today, you must go to the king of the wizards. He lives in a dark castle on a high hill. When you get there, you must talk to the king immediately. Tell him you want your son. The king will take you to his tower, where there are 14 pigeons. The king has magic powers, and can change a person into a pigeon. If you recognize your son, you can take him home with you." "But how will I recognize my son?" Pigeons all look the same, but you'll know your son when you see him. He's the one with a tiny black feather on his head. Look at all the pigeons slowly and carefully, then choose that one, and you'll have your son again." "You're a good friend," said H to the kind old man. "Thank you for your help. I'll always remember you. Good luck to you, H. The old man smiled and patted H on the shoulder. H followed the old man's instructions and crossed a dark forest and a river. After crossing a big river, H started walking up a high hill. There on top of the hill stood the wizard's dark castle. It was surrounded by many towers. The sky was dark and cloudy. Then the wind started blowing. "What an ugly place," thought H, looking at the castle and its towers. "My son is in one of those towers." He reached a black wooden door and rang a big bell. After a few minutes, a man opened the door. "I want to see the king," H said. The kind wizard said, "Come in, H." In a moment, the juggler in the black suit was standing at the door of the castle. H was a little scared when he saw the wizard, but he was also excited to see him again. "What do you want?" the king of wizards asked kindly. "I want my son Callum," said H. "I know," the wizard replied. "I'm sorry, but I can't let you have him just yet. You can have anything you want. Beautiful clothes, a fast horse, a new fishing boat, a big house, a jewel for your wife. But let me keep your son." The wizard and his wife exchanged glances. "All these presents are nothing to us," the wife said. "We want our son Callum," the wizard said. "You're foolish," the clever wizard said. "You can do a lot of things with a new boat or a fast horse. Your wife will be happy with a big diamond. I don't want your presents." H was angry. "I want my son now," Hamish said. "You're being foolish, Hamish." "Take all the presents you want," the wizard said. But leave your son here with me. Never cried, H said. On and you can have your son, Callum. This fisherman will never choose the right pigeon, the wizard thought with a smile. But my son will always be yours. Hamish walked around the tower and looked at all the pigeons carefully. Then he saw one with a tiny black feather on its head. I'll choose this pigeon with the tiny black feather on its head, he said with a wink. Callum was standing in front of his father, beaming. Hooray, he said, throwing his arms around his dad's neck. The wizard was a little upset, but he was happy for them too. Oh, all right, he said with a shrug. But get out of here. Out of here, I'll come back, said H. Callum and Hamish ran down the dark stairs and out of the castle. They ran down the hill and into the forest. They stopped at the old man's house in the forest and thanked him. Then they went home. Katrina was very happy when she saw H and Callum. She could not believe her eyes. Callum, my dear boy, she said. I'm very happy to see you. Thank you for bringing him home. Hamish, oh, Mother said. Callum, I don't want to go away anymore. I want to work here in my town now. I'm the best juggler in the world. The king of the wizards taught me a lot of magic tricks. People will come to see me. So Callum became the town juggler and magician. The people in town always enjoyed his tricks and his juggling. His hands moved very fast, and everyone was surprised. People from his town and other towns came to see him. The children loved it. He was quite the celebrity, and made a pretty penny too. Now Callum and Hamish only went fishing for fun. The gorgeous sailing ship with the big white sails and the golden masts never came to the port again. But on stormy nights, the folks in town told spooky stories about the king of the wizards who lived in the dark castle on the hill. The voiceover in this video is provided by English Learning Hub. Please don't copy or re-upload this video. Thanks.